back to another episode of StichMethod. This one's going to be really cool. It's in the mind of Jimmy Page for No Quarter, the guitar improv. But before we begin our lesson, I'm going to talk to you for about a minute or two. Now, for those of you who are impatient and don't like talking, I'll put a timestamp somewhere around here so you can click to, but don't worry, you'll be back. So here we go. So this solo is actually a really cool solo to study for many reasons. The reason I wanted to do this is because after playing it and jamming on it, I realized something, which is Jimmy Page knows, I think I just spit, Jimmy Page knows his guitar maps so well that he has nothing but 100% confidence to do whatever he did. If you go and listen to this song on YouTube or anywhere, there's some great versions live, specifically the one from 1973 where he's just ripping on it, and it's an absolutely phenomenal guitar solo. And you might wonder to yourself, like, well, how can he play so fast and how can he do all that stuff? And the answer is because he knows where to go. And with that confidence, he can make some risky moves and jump around and kind of combine things that wouldn't necessarily be there and land in places he knows are going to work. So the goal of this whole entire talk is to set expectations for you and for me as to what we're going to learn and what you're going to get out of this. Number one, you're going to learn all possible paths up and down the guitar neck so that you don't have to worry about whether you're making a wrong move or, oh my God, I've run out of what I know. You know, like I can only play it here. And when that happens, you kind of get like a little like timid in your playing. Imagine having everything opened up. I will have a chart, if not a mini book about this, to help you kind of see everything. Number two, or hope maybe that's number two, none of us can play like Jimmy Page, okay? So this isn't about you sounding and playing as fast and getting the tone and all that stuff. That's not what this is about. That's him. It's very hard to play or teach Jimmy Page and have people be like, oh man, you sound nothing like him. And it's like, yeah, I don't. I sound like me, and I want you to sound like you. That's the most important piece. Number three, the cool thing is that Jimmy's a little sloppy in his playing, and I've always loved Jimmy Page's playing, but that sloppiness, don't be afraid of it. That's a risk factor you want to take, and if you want to try and play fast and do some blistering lines, just play it. If it comes out sloppy, it's going to sound more like Jimmy Page than it isn't, all right? He wasn't a pristine player, but his note choices were awesome. So I'm going to stop talking. Actually, nope, I lied to you. The last thing is if you listen to the versions that are out there, the album version starts on a B, and the live version starts on a C. So it's like, I had to decide, well, which one am I going to do? And I picked to go with the live version, the one that's up a half step from the album. If you want to do what I'm doing, just take everything I do and move it down a half step. It's very simple. Everything I do in this video is move it down 1 fret. You should have the map, but if you go look up No Quarter backing tracks on YouTube, you'll find some really tasty ones. I found one that I love, and I'm going to use it, and I'll post it in the description below, maybe in the comments. All right, I think I've said everything. This is about you become the best guitar player through the eyes of Jimmy Page and seeing what he sees so that you can have a great time. Let's get right down to it. Okay, so No Quarter. The jam section itself is interesting. It live, the chords, I'm going to turn my distortion off. The chords are this D minor to a C, like, or C to a D minor. And John Paul Jones is playing some tasty piano parts, but that's the majority of the solo. There's also a part in the backing track that I have here that goes to a G. And when you look at these chords, C, D minor, and G, and bring up the key of C, boom, there they are. They are in the key of C. And so this song is in parent key of C, but it starts in the D minor, which means we have a D Dorian progression. Now, for those of you who know StichMethod, you're going, okay, cool. For those of you who are new to this, your head might have exploded, but don't worry. We're going to start with phase 1. What would Jimmy Page do to a D minor chord progression, such as the No Quarter live jam? Well, that's easy. The first thing he's going to do is load up his D minor pentatonic. So let's load this thing up. We're going to start here in the form 1. It's going to be 10, 13, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 13. And for those of you who are not guitar players and learning another instrument, we have D, F, G, A, and C all over again. All right, so now, if I put this backing track on, which, by the way, I love this backing track, and it will be linked below. It's a live 10-minute loop. John Bonham does some crazy stuff in it, and you kind of have to pay attention, but it's going to work to our benefit. But watch what happens when I just turn my light crunch on, just a nice light crunch, and I play the backing track with just the D minor pentatonic. It's going to sound fine. Is it going to sound like Jimmy? No, but we're building everything up. Here we go. Okay, I can keep on going, but you get the idea. And I was just using a D minor pentatonic, so let me kind of kick back here. And you saw me kind of give it some speed. Was it great speed? Who knows? But the idea is number one, be confident, super confident in any D minor pentatonic. I'll show you again. Here's a D minor pentatonic form 4. 5-8, 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 6-8, 5-8. I'm going to pause for 1 second. I feel like I ripped my G string out of tune, so stay right there. I'll be right back. I'm just going to tune up. All right, I'm back, and yes, I had a case of Gibsonitis. My G string went flat as I pulled it. It's okay. It's back in action. All right, so I have my form 4 pentatonic, 5-8, 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 6-8, 5-8. That's also a D minor pentatonic. Now I'm going to interject a lot of stuff. If you've seen my minor jam cheat sheet video, this will be very familiar. Going between a form 4 and a form 1, awesome sauce. So let's just see how I'm going to play. Now I'm telling you, it's as if a guitar god, which I don't exist, came down and said, listen man, if you just play your notes with confidence in the D minor pentatonic right now and play, you're going to sound great. So give it your best. Give it some extra sauce. Play in speeds that you normally wouldn't have and play in different places you wouldn't have, like as in go to different notes, different patterns, and it's going to sound fine. So distortion turns on, backing track on, and let's see if I can just do, there we go. And let's see if I can get this for you. Was that the best performance in the world? No, but don't worry about it, okay? We're just kind of layering everything. So the first thing you want to do, and again, I hate like pushing this stuff, but I realized like this needs a booklet. And so I'm going to have a charter booklet that is going to show you the D minor pentatonic from nut to the end, all right? And so any D minor pentatonic that you can find, just give it your go. You don't have to worry about chord tones right now. You just want to go. And Jimmy Page was an amazing pentatonic player. All right, so before we get off the pentatonic, I want to mention, you might have heard something called the never lost pentatonic. All right? That is going to be so key to you understanding Jimmy Page's guitar soloing, especially when you listen to his live stuff. You know, that never lost pentatonic that I came out with, I don't know, 3 years ago, talked about how to connect all those 5 boxes in like a fashion that made sense that your fingers like. So if you're soloing, you know, you can hear in that 1973 version this like where he's on this like form 5 and then he comes up to form 1. And so the D minor pentatonic in its boxes and the D minor never lost pentatonic will be in that chart. But that's where you start. You put on this backing track and you rip and you rip and you have fun and you just go and you play with confidence. Now let's start getting into a little bit of a thicker concept here. Well, what else is he going to do? Well, the song is in the key of C. All right, so we're going to kind of go back and forth between easy stuff and hard stuff. And so any note in the key of C is going to work. And you might be familiar with when you hear some versions that he'll grab some octaves, like something like that. And what he's doing here is he's riding the A string, and he knows the notes in the key of C, which are C, 3rd fret, D, 5th fret, E, 7th fret, F, 8th fret, G, 10th fret, A, 12th fret, B, 14, C, 15. And he plays the octave. All right, 2 strings over, 2 frets down. I play with my pinky because I got short, stubby hands, all right? And you'll hear him. And he's kind of just making stuff up, all right? Not making stuff up like, oh, I'm not thinking about it, but he knows where to go and he feels his direction. So why do I bring this up now? Well, let's say you're playing in a pentatonic and you want to go from one pentatonic to another. You don't really want to never lost it. You want to give it a little bit of flair. Well, you connect it with these octave runs. Let's see if I can do it. So I totally chose a note that wasn't in C, but you heard it, and it's okay because it sounds fine by accident. All right, so you can see how I went from a form 4 pentatonic, and I soloed, and I kind of said, you know what, instead of jumping and kind of climbing, I just chose that octave run thing. All right, next, what else is he going to do? Well, we have the D minor pentatonic fully. This is an idea you want to work with, all right? D minor never lost pentatonic to connect it. And I'll talk about that stuff in a couple seconds. I'm going to put it all together. Now we're going to look at the pentatonics with some Dorian flair. All right. Now, what I mean by that is I do have a video called, I think, Deriving All of Your Minor Modes from Your Never Lost Pentatonic, something like that. If you look up StichMethod and minor modes, you'll find that the pentatonics themselves don't have any sense of modes. It's either major or minor, and you can find the one note that's special and throw it in. So in this D minor pentatonic, it's the B that makes us the Dorian. Now let's back up for a second. D Dorian are all the notes in the key of C, just starting on the D. That's all it is. It's all the notes in the key of C. You just mentally start on the D. The D minor pentatonic works, but we can get some of that Dorian flair by adding our B. Now, that's not necessarily what Jimmy Page does. The most important thing that he does that I find intriguing is that when you think of a minor pentatonic and you get to this C here, okay, he'll play the B and he's always kind of bending this B and C together, like alright, and when you're here, Alright, so let me go over both those for you, just to show you where they are. You're going to have 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 13, 10, 13. This note. And here in the form 4, if you 5, oh yeah, well no, I'm going to leave this E string out. It is here in the 7th fret, but maybe put it in. Okay, so 5, 7, that's a special note, that's the B. Okay, so 5, 7, 8, 5, 8, 5, 7, and then here, this 4, that's the B, here's your C, 5. So 5, 7, that's a special note, 8, 5, 8, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, nope, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. Let me give it to you again, because I'm up, right? 5, 7, 8, 5, 8, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. We're just adding the B to these D minor pentatonics. And you can, you can totally play that note, but so let me play now some D minor pentatonics. Put in my octaves on the A string. Then go into a little bit of Dorian flair by touching that B and kind of bending up to the C. Let's see if I can survive this. Hear the bottom is ripping. It's very hard to pay attention to that timing, but you'll get through it. It really actually, when you listen to it, it stays in time. But I chose the wrong place to come in, but you can still hear the effects. So now, you have a lot to do, but we're building your confidence. All of your D minor pentatonic. You want to know it. All of it. Every single box, never lost all the way through. Your octaves on the A string, C, D, E, F. I don't know why I missed it twice, but you're allowed to. G, A, B, C. You can hear how moving them around gets you kind of in this cool no quarter space. Then you can come back to the D minor pentatonic, adding in that B. Now, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, it kind of sounds a little bit like Jimmy Page, but it's really about you knowing everything he's doing. When you listen to live versions, this is everything he's doing on steroids, but it's everything he's doing. And the reason he can do it is because he's so confident in his path that he does it fast and he does it well, which you'll get to. All right, so now, let's keep on going. Another trick of the trade is he now understands, well, okay, you know, we're in the key of C. It's a D Dorian progression, but we're in the key of C, so any notes in the key of C are going to sound good. And this is where he gets his like super fast, kind of blazing, blistering lines that go from like into a pentatonic. And so, am I really good at it? Hell no. But I'll show you my attempt at it, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. All right, so here's a C major scale, and everyone chew on this. It's going to be, the notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. No sharps or flats, but it's 8, 10, 7, 8, 10, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10, 8, 10, 7, 8, and then if you want to get to the 10. Now that 10 is important because that's the D. What I'm going to do is play rapidly. A little sloppy, and then get into my D minor pentatonic, but I'm going to do it during the jam, all right? So let's see if you can hear that moment, and all I'm doing is taking my pick and rapidly just... And you can see sometimes the pick skips, and it's okay because it sounds like Jimmy Page. If your pick skips, it's totally fine. So let's just see what that sounds like. There it is. Wasn't too bad. All right. So now, well, what am I teaching you? Well, any C major scale, any notes you want to do can act as these bridging like jumps between your pentatonics or minor Dorian type runs here. And so one run, you know, that I was practicing, which is great, you know, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you're kind of like in this form 4. Anything. So let's just listen for that one. And I love this type. Right here is where I like love why we're doing this lesson, because now it's like, okay, well, we have all the ingredients, not all of them, but this is the one that like we hear Jimmy Page like blister on, and it's so awesome, and you're allowed to be sloppy. And the thing is, and I'm being serious, you know, if you know your D minor pentatonics and you know the notes on the A string and you know like some Dorian notes, and we'll talk about that even more, and you know all the C major notes, well, you can play anything anywhere. And if you kind of like get caught up or you mess up, you can just grab onto your D minor pentatonic wherever you are and nobody's going to notice. Now, this isn't about faking it. This is about showing you do whatever you want because you have a safety net around every corner. So let's try it out. That sucked. Okay. Oh, good. Good thing I stopped right there. My phone rang and my backing track is on on the phone. So you can see how I chose some C major scales. All of them are going to be in that chart. In this chart, you're going to have the D minor pentatonic, the chord, the A, the A string notes, the Dorian, and the C major scales. And it's the blending of everything. When you look at that, really, you're looking at like ignoring maybe 2 notes on the entire fretboard when you have all this information. And so you can just learn how to play and be confident and realize that your home base is to get to those pentatonics, but you can travel through them with so much stuff. Now, a couple quick things that Jimmy Page does in his live versions, and I'm going to show this to you, is if you take your D Dorian scales now, I don't want people's head to explode, but, you know, we're doing this, right? A D Dorian is nothing more than a C major scale starting on a D. And you know, if you figure through a minor pentatonic framework, this one's the easiest one to see, right? Just to show you, it's 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, yep, sorry, I'm going to start over. 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, 9, 10, 12, 9, 10, 12, 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, 13. It's the C major scale I just talked about. What you're looking for, it's from the C major scale I talked about like a minute ago. All the C major scales are going to be on this chart, and what you're looking for are the half steps, the notes between B and C, and E and F. And what makes this song so saucy and so cool to listen to is when he starts playing with those half steps, like, but he doesn't play them. He usually will bend them. And you'll hear these famous lines like you'll hear all this bending and stuff going on, so you want to find out where your half steps are and kind of bend them. They're between any B and C and any B and F. Sorry, E and F. Now, by this time, you know, we're in this video, I know it sounds like a lot, but if you study everything in the layer, you'll know where those half steps are. So I'm going to take one more solo, and what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and do it all. I'm going to screw up, trust me, because it's like, you want to play fast. It's Jimmy Page, and I'm not really setting the best example in the world. But I'm going to try the pentatonics, the octaves, some Dorian stuff, some ripping through the C major scale to bridge my gaps, and then playing with a lot of those half steps. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, I keep on going. Again, this backing track's a little hard to follow when bottom either goes off or the loop's off, but it doesn't matter. It's still a great backing track, and you can find many of your backing tracks to practice with. All right, we're winding down here. All right, let me explain some stuff. You know, the whole goal of this is for you to develop your skills because you have every roadmap available to you from beginning to end, so that you can take those risks and kind of recoup or regather if you happen to mess up. You know what? I almost forgot one thing before I wrapped everything up. The last thing you can do is, now I have a slight distortion pedal on, but I also have an automatic wah or an octave wah, and when you put it on with distortion, you can get this like infamous, close to this infamous like Jimmy Page type no quarter sound, like, and you kind of hear it like, and it kind of gives you a little bit of like no quarter special sauce. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick jam with it off and then with it on so you can hear the differences. And if you like it, plug an auto-wah, like an octave wah something, into your chain with the distortion. You can get that no quarter like sound. Let's see. Sorry, there we go. stop. I just wanted to show you that before we end this video. I'm gonna splice back in where I was talking, but putting an octave in at some points with the distortion, A+ for that feel. Back to whatever I was saying. Bye. So let's just do some talking points here. For the no quarter live jam, again, I chose the live version, which is in C major. It's a D Dorian progression, so I start with my D minor pentatonics. That's what you're going to do. Learn all of your D minor pentatonics everywhere. Play with confidence. Take some chances. Move around those things like you've never done before. Then play with your D minor never lost, which is going to get you, instead of inside the box, is going to get you in these linear paths. You know, and you can hear Jimmy Page totally do this stuff in the live versions. You can hear him kind of climb up and get those things. And then you want to throw in those chord octaves based off of the C major scale on the A string. And then you want to start putting in that B, you know, which is the Dorian note, the beat in D Dorian. And then you want to start doing your fast riffs in any C major scale, anything. And then get back to a D, anything, get that pick kind of flying. And then you want to play with some half bends on the half steps, which is the B to the C, and the E to the F. And you don't have to go fast. What I'm going to do right now, the last thing I'm going to do is just play this slowly. I'm going to play it as if I'm learning everything. I'm not going to do some blistering lines. I don't want you to do blistering lines. I want you to really enjoy this, okay? And not feel stressed out. So, again, this backing track has that crazy bottom loop, which is a little off time, but it's okay. And we're going to do it. Here we go. I'll play slow, sorry. Right there. Those drums, believe it or not, are in time. There you go. I hope this all made sense. I hope it's worth it. I hope you enjoyed it. Go listen to the live version I'm talking about from 1973, and even though he's playing blisteringly fast, all these notes that you hear are accounted for on these like 4 or 5 different kind of mindsets. If you dug this and you did it on your own, fantastic. Just make sure that you share and subscribe. I really hope you enjoy this. This is about giving you the confidence to go for it with the No Quarter Live Jam. Thanks for being here. See you again soon. Bye-bye.